What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He's Cam Underwood, managing editor of State of the U. Follow him on X at Underwood Sports. I'm Brian the Beast London. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Cam, the Canes won convincingly against the University of South Florida in what was advertised as a game that was going to be very close. It was an upset alert on all the pregame shows. And it turned out not quite to be, because the Miami Hurricanes came to Hard Rock Stadium yesterday to play. What say you?
I say that I told you so. I say that I called it from top to bottom, front to back. I told you that the luck was going to run out. The clock was going to strike midnight for Cinderella. They were going to run into some real ones in the Miami Hurricanes, and it was going to and it was going to go very poorly for them. I said that Miami was going to win and cover, and they would have won and covered had the spread almost, they would have won and covered if the spread was doubled from what it was. Yeah. You know what I mean? This was not. Yeah, this is exactly what I thought. We are the team that I think we are. They are a good team. They're a growing and developing team. But, they just didn't have the range. And it clearly showed. This should have been 60, damn near 70 points.
Oh, here we go.
For the Hurricanes. Should have been. And I don't feel bad about saying it. We did not score on 5 drives. 2 drives with interceptions happened in USF territory. There was not a single drive that we scored that they kept us out of the end zone and made us kick a field goal. If those interceptions end the drives in the way that they should have, add another 14 on top of that. And then you had 3 and outs on top of that when they couldn't stop us. Please. No, this team, look, and I give them credit for what they've done. I give them credit for playing hard. I give them credit for having a difficult scheme that takes changes on our side to, curtail and address. But we did all that. And when all things were equal, they don't got the range. They don't got the dudes. They can't block us. And they couldn't stop our offensive line from leaning on them.
No.
It was an easy formula. So, if you've been watching and listening here, I told you. This is exactly what I expected.
All right, so, I don't think I expected it to be a little bit closer. Like maybe, what did I say? I said 31-14, something like that. Yeah. What I said I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But and you're right. Miami did leave points out there with the turnovers and drives that stalled. I'm just going to say I am completely satisfied with the victory. That a couple of things stood out to me. You mentioned a few of them. One, Miami's offensive line and the physicality that they have on both sides of the ball in the trenches is superior and is going to be superior basically to almost anyone in college football except maybe 3 or 4 teams that I can think about. Maybe, that's why I think Mario and this staff has done an amazing job of building up the trenches to have men playing in them and not undersized, boys, if you will. So that's one thing. 2, Miami had just too much talent in too many places for USF. That seemed to be clear. And I think the thing that we should be talking about is Corey Heatherman and the defense, because you and I talked about it on the show we did last week before the game about stopping a quarterback that can move, that can rush. And Byron Brown, in most games, when he's been the starting quarterback, has been the leading rusher. And he had 2 yards. 2, after you subtracted negative plays, he ended up with 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. And Carson Beck had like 28 yards. 28 yards from the line of scrimmage. So if you had told me that Carson Beck was going to outrush Byron Brown, I would have said, you're absolutely out of your mind. I've watched this kid Brown. He runs all over the place. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Heatherman's defense is smart.
Mm-hmm.
These guys communicate.
Mm-hmm.
If they do make a mistake, they usually come back the next play and make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a little bit of, and they talked about this last night after the game, do they have a little bit of bend, don't break philosophy? Sure. And that's fine. But I think if this continues the way that I think it will with Coach Heatherman, I think we're going to, at the end of the season, really credit Mario with making the right hire. And Mario may let us down in some in-game coaching stuff, right? But to be the executive, to be the CEO of a program, to make the right hires is almost as important, if not more important, than the in-game decisions. And I think this will end up being a really good hire if things continue to go the way they do. It just looks like a different defense than what we saw last year.
No, totally. And I also agree with you. Yeah. This was a satisfying victory. If I'm looking at championship caliber, though, like I'm picking nits by saying that we should have scored 60. I know that, but I'm fine with picking nits. Like that's where I am. You know what I mean? And this is not even a nit. This is a major foundational cornerstone of what we are doing, bringing in Corey Heatherman. And yeah, he has, he talked very confidently about having design defenses to address quarterback run games at previous stops, both when he was like just a lower, just position coach assistant at Rutgers, and then his 1 year coordinating the Minnesota defense, which continues to be a good defense, even though they did lose last night to Cal. But that is a thing that, it is true. It's proving itself to be true. Here's the running list of Byron Brown run plays.
Okay.
2 yards.
Yep.
-2.
Yep.
2, 6, 2, 0, 6, 2, -3, 1, 2. He gained 23 over the course of it, and he lost 21 over the course of the game. Which ends up with, his 2-yard total. This is something that Alex Golish talked about in his post game. I'm working up a piece for StateOfTheU. I'm not going to tell you what it is or the rest of the stuff because,
a tease.
I was listening to his presser, and he just continued to say, like, we didn't necessarily look like ourselves, and we weren't able to get the run game going. And QB run is usually a part of what we do, and like all these different things. And I'm like, dude, this is exactly what I talked about on the preview. This is a team that is not efficient on a down-to-down basis, but they have been timely, explosive, and they only scored a few touchdowns in the 2 games leading up, but the average length of touchdown was almost 32 yards, which means they're having these nuclear plays. And that was it. And basically they kept popping those, and that's how they were going to score. I said without the level of efficiency, they were not going to find that explosion against Miami consistently enough to score to win the game. And that proved itself to be true. So, again, credit to USF, super credit to Corey Heatherman. And one thing that when you were talking, I wanted to point out is, we sit next to each other in the press box in this very exact order. Brian to my left, and then it's me, and then the ghost of Brandon sits down on my other side, and some other people. And there was a play where there were a couple of plays that I tapped Brian on the leg, I leaned over and said, yo, look, because I want you to see this. Remember we talked about in the offseason about how the communication was one way, as in Mish Powell is, hey, okay, cool. You, and the person that he was communicating to was just
in La La Land. Yep.
In La La Land, like the signal was going out, but it wasn't hitting anything.
Right.
There were two specific plays when I saw it happening and being connected and impacting the play. I don't remember the exact scenarios, but it was a linebacker.
Yep.
I
can
think
see it in my mind.
It was Mo Toure.
Yep.
And there were three receivers to the wide side of the field.
Yes. Yep.
And he's pointing to
Yep.
the nickel or whoever,
Yep.
I think it was Keontae Scott. And he's sliding and he's pointing. And I was like, look, this is the time. I said, look, Beast, look. And you saw, captain of the defense is giving me an adjustment to the number 2 defender, and he got over there, and then they covered it up. There was another time that Jacoby Thomas came down, and he got Mo Toure, and he said, nah, they're running that screen thing. We've seen it on. Go here. You need to buzz under the. Basically, you're going to be the hard flat, from your CFB defense, right? You're going to be the hard flat, buzz under that. He's going to try to either throw either the quick screen, that's a pick six, or if they try to throw the slant behind you, it's right. You're go there and disrupt the play. And on that play, Byron Brown looks, pumps, and goes, oh God, there's number 1 in the window I was trying to throw to. Directly, I mean, like a millisecond after Jacoby Thomas made that sight adjustment for the other player. So I say all of that to say, we talk about communication. We talk about all these things and how it goes. Those are two individual instances of on-field communication being a positive addition for the Miami defense in a way that it did not happen last year. And I just wanted to take a second and highlight that because all through camp, ever since he was hired, Corey Heatherman has talked about we need to communicate as foundational to how they operate on defense. And you're seeing that live and in action only a couple of months later. It's a beautiful thing.
So a couple other things, you make some good points. A couple other things I want to talk about from the game before we look ahead a little bit. You know what? Let's go back to offense. Mark Fletcher.
Big Fletch.
That boy running that ball as hard as he possibly can with the physicality that Mario talks about, plus some wiggle as well. Some rumble, bumble, stumble, some Chris Berman situation going on. Listen, we know the journey he's been on. It's been a tough one over the last almost exactly a year since his father passed away, plus injury, plus all the things. And we saw him last night in the post-game press conference, and I asked him a question, and you could just tell, like, he talked about it. Like, he was wearing a shirt with his dad on it. He said, I found my why. Like, he's like, I don't know what my why was before. I guess I liked football, but now I found my why. I have a purpose. And you can tell it shows in his running.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing to see for him. And yeah, he's supremely talented. The wiggle and the quickness in short areas around, and eventually we knew that he's a 6'2", 235. He can run through a face. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But he was making guys miss in a phone booth. And that was something that is new to his game. To me, he is playing as a man renewed. He is on a path for a payday. This is a contract year for him. He knows that the lifespan of running backs is usually short.
Correct.
So 3 and out, even if I'm 3rd, 4th round pick, but like I'm putting myself into that echelon of maybe the top 10 to 15 running backs for the NFL draft. Maybe not the top of that list, and that's okay. But yeah, he is playing like a man possessed, and I love to see it for him. Also on offense, want to shout out Mario Cristobal sticking with a young player, one who had a couple struggles early in the Notre Dame game. And regarding the specific, not even asked about him, asked about another player. Mario said, we're going to stick with him. He does it in practice. He shows it all the time. He will get his moment. Welcome to the spotlight, Joshua Moore.
Oh,
because, like he honestly, if Carson would have thrown that goal ball earlier, he's all alone in the end zone. He ran straight past that dude. But 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 61. And yeah, this is a kid who, he had a couple rough plays in the Notre Dame game. And, obviously Malachi Toney had his coming out party. And that question was about Malachi Toney. And Mario Cristobal said, Joshua Moore is super talented, struggled today. He will have his moment. He does things in practice. And, talking to a couple other people around the program yesterday, they were like, yo, stuff that this kid does in practice, dumb on a regular basis. It's just stupid. So now you're like, cool, we got a big 6'4" receiver doing the thing. We already got Malachi Toney who continues to do the thing. Now you have that. So now you have young player on top of young player on top of young player out there making plays. I mean, look, and that's only on offense. I mean, there's more on defense. But yeah, just I wanted to shout out, specifically Joshua Moore, congratulate him on his first 2 Miami Hurricane touchdowns. Hopefully the first of many more to come for the talented 6'4" receiver from West Broward.
Along those lines, just as we talk about the receiving core, CJ Daniels got nicked up last night after making a ridiculous catch, another one. But I think he did get back in, Mario, of course. So just as an aside to those that are watching and listening, when we get in the post-game press conference, right, Mario does not react well to questions about injuries. So you try to pepper him with like the easy things, like talk about the offensive line because that's his baby, or what have you, to kind of get him in a good mood. And then maybe towards the end you might be able to sneak in a question about some injury updates, but it's playing that like game of chicken, like what's going to come first, my ability to get my second question in about an injury, or Mario's saying, all right, that's it, I'm out. So last night, before we could ask any questions about injuries, Mario was done. So we didn't get any updates on CJ Daniels, although I think he came back in. JoJo Trader was nowhere to be found yesterday. We were told the week before that he was dinged up. We don't have any updates on that. We'll see what happens when we're doing this Sunday at around 5:30 p.m. They'll have a presser tomorrow, Monday. So we'll see if anyone asks then. So there's that. But the other thing I wanted to talk about on offense, Carson Beck. He did throw 2 picks. Now, one of them was definitely his fault. He should not have thrown that ball. I think it was before the end of the half. He was trying to, get something going on. That was a bad decision. The second one, though, the pass was deflected by Malachi Toney. It wasn't intended for Malachi Toney. And Carson Beck said after the game, he's like, I was trying to throw the ball. I didn't realize Malachi had a 50-inch vertical. He got in my way. So that one kind of not his fault. So we'll take that one away.
Well, no, I mean, look, it still had. It was fun. Like we all in the interview room laughed when he said it, because it was like, yeah, man, like I was throwing that ball to somebody else, and I didn't know Malachi had a 50-inch vertical. Like it was the way he said it too. It was funny. But hey, look, it happened. It was a double skinny post route, and Malachi was the underneath, and Tony Johnson was behind him. Was pretty open. There was a defender in the area, but like he was open. He was throwing him open. You're not going to be super duper butt naked wide open. In college football games. And then Malachi jumped up for that. So yeah, but still, I'm good with it. I think that the first one, he forced it. He was getting hit as he threw. Okay, you need to not do that. But he's also playing with house money up 28-6 going into the half. So I get it. I'm also just glad that we got the interceptions out of the way. Like the fact that there can be, and probably further in the season will be, turnovers, just okay. Same thing with Cam Ward. Like, you're not a perfect player. There is a turnover or two. We continue to move because, coming into the season, it was all Carson Beck is all the turnovers all the time. And he had a streak of 202 passes that, ended with the interception in the first half. Cool. But we got it out of the way. It wasn't the end of the world. He knows. And every coach that we play says he's really great. He's on time. He's accurate. He's,
it's got good touch.
He's got great touch. He has a strong arm. You saw Carson Beck, the runner, going back to an earlier Beast point, because USF, stuffs the middle, and then they crash hard on the edges on anything that looks like an interior kind of a run. So then, cool, we just built in read tags on all that stuff. And then Shannon Dawson, having seen that, said, you're going to need to keep the ball probably a few times today. Cool. Ran for a touchdown. And then they didn't even change then. So what do? You call it again and you pull it again. So yeah, I mean, look, he's a very talented player, very excited. I mean, he threw for 340 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know, like, or 3 touchdowns, excuse me, he ran for the 4th. But like, there's nothing wrong with what he did. And he was 20, he had 5 incompletions, and 2 of them were interceptions, and 1 of those was a tipped ball. Bro, he's very, very good. I'm glad that we got this out of the way. But it is a thing that we need to, talk about. And he was, Carson Beck, a little displeased with you, my good man, because Beast was the one who asked Carson about the interceptions. He goes,
no, I didn't. That was not me.
Oh, no.
It was Gary Furman.
Oh, it was front row. Excuse me. No, you're on the other side. Correct.
Gary Furman was Gary Furman was sitting next to me.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
How dare you put that on me?
Yo, we're next to each other in the front row. I don't sit in the front row. So anyways. But yeah, he took it on the chin and said, yeah, he explained his way through that. And I think that the recall and explanation is key, because it wasn't some deer in the headlights, true freshman. I don't know. Like, if those dudes are big and fast.
I gotta go watch the film.
Well, but I'm saying my version is even worse. Was like, I don't know. Those dudes are big and fast, and something happened. He was like, okay, this is what happened. I'm aware. It'll get addressed. It'll get fixed. Which seems to be the mantra for the team. There's another mantra as well that I'm going to be writing about this week on StateOfTheU.com. So please come over and with us. Yeah, your boy's going to be busy. His fingers are going to be walking. But, Miami got busy last week on offense. And I know we're going to talk about defense more, but yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the defense before we take a break and talk about next week. Ruben Bain, there's not enough words to describe his play. It literally, like, I'm going to get hyperbolic here.
No, go.
Don't fall out of your chair. If he continues to play like this, he could end up in New York.
Wow. I'm
not saying they'll give it to him, but he could be. If I'm just saying, if Miami has the kind of season that is possible and he keeps playing like this, and you can see, if you follow him on the socials, his personality is coming out a little bit.
Oh boy.
Dare I say that he definitely has the S word from those teams back in the day. I won't say that word, but he's got it. And I will just say that I think the crosshairs may be on Ruben for something special at the end of the season, if he keeps it up.
Ruben Bain is a monster. He is playing arguably as the best defensive player in the country.
Correct.
One of the best players in the country, full stop. His PFF grades are through the roof. His win percentage against the run is astronomical. His wins as a pass rusher are super duper incredible. The thing that could potentially curtail what you're saying is his lack of individual statistics, although his impact is always felt. Because, if he wins and gets to the quarterback, and the quarterback scrambles, and then somebody else gets a sack.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mesidor's going to finish, or Moton's going to finish, or
right. But it's sprinkled around, and it's different than like Ndamukong Suh, who should have won the Heisman when he had all those TFLs, all those sacks, all those tackles. He's chasing every ball carrier for the opposition down from sideline to sideline, 40 yards down the field every single play. And his counting stats were matched the talent. I could see, because this pack swarm mentality of the defense sees multiple people finishing plays, even that are created by his individual dominance against a single or double block. I could see potentially the lack of counting stats being a thing that could keep him from that. But you're not off in saying basically he's one of the best players in the country, and if we're one of the best teams in the country, best player, best team, you're in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. You're not. It's not really that hyperbolic, to be perfectly honest.
Last thing on the defense, the secondary, it's just night and day from last year. It's just completely night and day. I mean, yes, give credit to the coaching, give credit to like a freshman like Bryce Fitzgerald that comes in and is just amazing. Give credit to guys that have stepped up their game from last year to this year. But they are. I'll say this. Sure, maybe they'll get beat on a play, but I feel like, as we talked about, okay, shrug it off. Next play, shut them down. Like, that's how I feel about the secondary.
No, I think that's the way to feel about the secondary. I'm going to add one last individual player shout out from yesterday on defense to wrap up the first segment. Kid who has battled injuries, a legacy Cane.
Oh, yes.
Chase Smith.
Yes. Yep.
Coming in at linebacker.
Yep.
Being an athletic see ball, get ball guy, adding into the rotation of guys spying on Byron Brown. Because I didn't think Moture is athletic enough. I think you got exposed there a couple of times trying to spy there. And I mean, he just looked like Jason Voorhees from the movies. But this big dude, and he's 6'4", and he has these long pass rusher arms. So you just see these arms pumping as he's running and hawking these guys down. Dude, man, like, a fumble recovery. He's around the football making plays. Like, I think it was only 4 or 5 individual tackles. Because again, pack mentality, tackles are going to get spread out because there's, always dudes around the ball. But shout out to Chase Smith, a guy who is stuck here. He's gone through a couple position changes. He's battled a couple injuries previously. And even, again, year 4, year 5, when his number was called, he was ready. And he made a really great impact. And it wasn't a superstar. And he's not going to really be a name that is the story of this season. But in this moment that he had that impact, I want to shout out, Chase Smith, because he really, really brought it yesterday.
Yeah, no, he did a great job. He's like, just the fact that he's contributing in a meaningful way, it makes me feel good for the kid. So we like that a lot. All right, we're gonna take a break. On the other side, you know what game's coming up. The entire nation's gonna know because game day is coming to South Florida. First time since 2017, since the Notre Dame game, that we've had game day.
No.
Do we have it in 2020?
Mm-hmm. It's the first time on campus. It's only the second time on, but we will talk about that. But yeah, okay. It is. The return of an iconic brand to pair with our iconic brand for sure.
Yeah, and that means the Gators are coming to town after DJ Lagway 5 interception woeful disaster against LSU. But we will get to all that and more on the other side. It's the Real Ones Canes podcast. And we're back here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. He's Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Follow Cam on X at Underwood Sports. Go check out StateOfTheU.com. All sorts of great content up there as we speak. It's free. It's open 24/7, 365. Did I mention it's free? Go check out StateOfTheU.com. I'm Brian the Beast London. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast Cam. It is a rivalry game coming to Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday night on ABC. 7:30 kickoff, Canes, Gators, college game day that morning in the Gables. It is going to be something. And the Gators are coming off a loss to LSU 20-10 in a game that DJ Lagway, they're all, we're the best quarterback ever since Tim Tebow threw 5 interceptions. Their offense mustered, I think, like less than 80 yards rushing on 20-something carries. Now, their defense played pretty good because I think LSU got 2 scores off of turnovers. So basically, Florida's defense limited LSU to 10 points. And they played pretty well. They got no sacks, though. And I think Miami has a better offensive line than LSU does. So that's what we have in front of us. And I expect it's a rivalry game. So, listen, I don't know, but I think the Canes will handle their business on Saturday.
That is the expectation over here as well. Miami opened as 8.5-point favorites over the Gators. I actually saw one book; it was 6.5, and then went up to 8.5 quickly. So people, as soon as it opened, said, "Yeah, nah, Miami." Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. Florida is definitely scuffling this season. They just lost to USF 2 weeks ago, the same USF that we just blew their doors off. We went into Gainesville and won. It was a slop of a game. It was an inefficient game. It was a game with a couple explosives on both sides, but that's about it. So it'll be really interesting to see. Game day will be here on campus. ACC Huddle also will be on campus.
That's right. Yep.
Previewing the game and everything. A lot of the Clemson is on the road, and I know that's a team that they might have gone to or whatever. But look, football games are television shows, and then you can have other television shows profit off those later television shows. So we have both game day and ACC Huddle on campus. This is only the second time that Miami's hosted game day on campus. All of the other times were at either the Orange Bowl, RIP, or Hard Rock Stadium. Even during 2020, there was a game. It was hosted at Hard Rock Stadium for Florida State game. Big spotlight. I was taking a nap, I guess, when they now are confirmed that it was the ABC game for the placement. So I did just check upon that. So the eyes of the country will be upon us. And again, with it being on, free TV, you get the opportunity to have just casuals like, oh, Miami and Florida, that's a rivalry. I'll watch that. So I think that the game is going to do numbers. And I think that the team wearing orange and green and white will also be able to do numbers. I think that Florida is going to play with their hair on fire for a little bit. And then reality is going to set in. But we'll talk more about that as we go forward. Big game, big matchup. We just got to continue to work the plan, continue our process. Carson Beck, after the game, he said, I'm going to prepare for every game the same way, which is what I've been doing. I'm going to do the same thing, watch film on Sunday, and then the same thing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I'm not going to tell you what that is because I'm not giving away the secret sauce, but I'm going to do, we're going to continue to do the things that need to be done. We are internally motivated. We're going to continue to, trust and lean on our process to be the best team that we can be to go 1-0 against the opposition every week.
Yeah. There's something very comforting about the fact that Carson Beck has faced the Gators in, the Georgia-Florida, we can't call it the world's largest cocktail party anymore.
Well, I can still call it that.
That's true. Just like you call it a 2-minute warning, but it's not. It's a timeout.
And be ye forewarned, Brian.
So, he's played in this game. He's played in lots of rivalry games. That helps me feel confident in this team. And I just I'm starting to feel like this group is really tight. And they're laser focused. Now, despite the fact that, yes, on social media, Ruben Bain is becoming very outspoken, I would say, about opponents, especially after he crushes them.
Exclusively after, it's not like he's on there all the time talking me, but after he goes on the field and does what he does, he'll let you know about it.
Yeah, he will. And despite the fact that Mario will tell you, oh, we don't pay attention to anything, the guys know when there's some bulletin board material to juice them up a little bit. So there is that. But I just feel like this team is really laser focused, and they've really bought into we're going to all be on the same page. We're going to be a special group of guys, and the lights of a rivalry game, ESPN, college game day, all that. None of that's going to phase us. We're just going to play our game.
And look, they did it against Notre Dame. You already have proof positive. So this is not the first marquee matchup against a talented rival kind of a team. You did it in the opener on Sunday night. So you had a different schedule, and everything. So like, yeah. And again, you have guys who have done it when the lights are bright, and there are guys on this team from last year. Like, don't forget, like, I know that we lost 2 games. This team also won 10, and also had to claw their way back in a couple. And, when you get guys like a Ruben Bain, who Mario Cristobal talked about, when he was a recruit and everything, just sitting in the, echoes of the bowels of Hard Rock Stadium, like, this sucks. And as a freshman, too, like, this sucks. Like, we just got our tail whooped, and I know it sucks. But one day, things are going to flip around. And now you have guys who are here and have seen it flip. I just talked about Chase Smith from before. He was here through all of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this team is very focused. And like they, to steal a line from Remember the Titans, attitude reflect leadership, captain. You know what I mean?
Right.
This team has taken on the mantra or the personality of their coach. He comes in and says, look, we have to do this. We look at things this way. They are internally motivated. They da-da-da. And then you get Akeem Mesidor. Okay, well, how are you guys going to go forward? We're going to work together. We're going to be together. We work our butts off. We're internally motivated. And I'm like, okay, phrase. And Mesidor wasn't in the room to hear Cristobal say that. A couple players later, Mo Toure, a man of very few words. Like there were some long questions and some short answers from him. Even he, brand new 6-year senior, but not been here before. Yeah, hey, we just have internal motivation in the locker room. What? So, like, yeah, it is pervasive there. And I agree with you. So, look, I'm not trying to, be hyperbolic or anything, but I expect this team to be focused, to prepare the way that this team prepares, which is what they've shown me through 3 weeks, and then play like this team plays, which is also what they've shown me through 3 weeks.
Seeing the line moving up to at least 9.5 in places. So get in now if you want. Wherever you can do that legally, feel free. So there is that. I hope it's a completely raucous environment at Hard Rock. I hope it's completely sold out. I hope that the tailgating is off the chain. I hope game day is as good as it can be in the Gables. I hope all of that comes true next Saturday. It'll be awesome. All right, we'll leave it that way for now. We will see you during the week for our preview show of the Canes and Gators, a rivalry that continues some years and some years it doesn't. So we will.
Their fault, but whatever.
Yeah, chickens.
Yeah. I mean, Gator tastes like chicken, so it makes sense.
I've never had it, but I'll trust you on that.
It does. It tastes like chicken.
Okay. On that note, we will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.